SEC got together and we're like, hey, we're pissed that we didn't get more guys. I mean, the college football players shit needs to change ASAP. So there was an article written that talked about it a little bit. The proposal, and again, none of this can change until 2026. So keep this in mind because obviously the structure in place was a contract through 2026 of the college football playoffs. So as for, I know we just complained about how the reseeding should go. That part, I don't know if they can change that in the middle of this contract. That was interesting to me. Maybe you'll have the answer to that when I pass the buck back to you. But the Big Ten and the SEC came together. And you got to remember, these guys have been coming together for quite some time. You've got to imagine the two big horses in this race. They kind of carry the load here. So they definitely have a bigger seat at the table. And also, I kind of wonder if this plays a factor, but the views for this championship were down from last year's championship from 25 million to 22 million now. That doesn't seem like a crazy drop, but just like anything in business, you should be going up. You never want to go backwards, especially with how this season, how it was building up. We talked about it. It was amplifying to be one of the, I would say, biggest college football seasons there's been. And then it kind of just, I talked about it on Tuesday's show, really just took a beeline of like, we saw so much football and the writing was on the wall. Like it was like, yep, Ohio State's going to win this. It was never even in doubt. Maybe that killed the hype, killed the vibe. I don't know. You didn't really feel like you had the two best teams coming at ahead there. So what's being proposed now, one potential idea is a 14 team, which is hilarious because when the 12 got pitched, everyone's like, it's just going to go to 14. It's going to go to, and I was like, no way. I was wrong. How this would work is it would feature 4 automatic bids for the Big Ten and the SEC, 2 bids for the Big 12 and the ACC, and then 1 for the Group of 5 and 1 at large, which will likely be either for Notre Dame or the next highest ranked team outside of the automatic bids. This leads me, Notre Dame needs to get this shit figured out and get into a conference. But yeah, I agree. I think when you've got your 2 big powerhouses, the Big Ten and the SEC, we know they carry the most weight. Would I be mad about 14 teams? I don't know. I feel like that's just, again, you're taken away from the conference championship. So there needs to be some value there because, again, avoiding it, Ohio State, there was an advantage of avoiding it. No conference champion played in the national championship. So let alone the Final Four, right? Yeah. Because Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, nobody with their conference was even the Final Four. So it's a lot. Thoughts, Dave?
Yeah, I remember when you lost like 2 games during the regular season, especially if you were in the Big Ten, you never even made it to a playoff. You never even made it to the national championship. And I think that's what a lot of the argument was, or at least from what I saw like on social media, was the fact that like, well, if Ohio State lost 2 games, if, this wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen. I mean, the way that it's structured is different. I mean, and you got to get used to it. And obviously people are not used to it yet because we're so used to a 4-team playoff. We're used to the BCS. This is brand new and they're introducing it in different ways. And when you get something brand new and you introduce it, there's going to be things that you have to fix and there's going to be things that you're going to have to tinker with to get it correct. And this is part of the not even really the problem, part of the product that you get. And when you, as I said, something new, something shiny and new, there's got to be things that you got to tinker with. But it's hard for me just because I'm an old school guy. I'm an old school BCS guy, so I just like that. But I also like the fact that we get to see more games, so it makes it more exciting. I can bet on more games. I won so much money off these playoffs, dude. I'm not even gonna lie.
That was another big thing too. That all the favorites, I think the favorites went 9-1, and they were 9. This show is, of course, brought to you by BetUS, and right now, when you use the code YouTube150 at betus.com. You get 150% back on your first deposit, then 125 on your next 2. And with the football playoffs, college football championships and playoffs happening, and then March Madness right around the corner, there is not a better time right now than to sign up for betus.com and use that code to maximize your return. Check it out, betus.com. Use the code YouTube150. Now back to the show. Get after it. In covering the spread, like it was, and because again, if you covered the spreads and looked at the seeding, it looks like there was a ton of upsets, but we know there wasn't actually any upsets because it was the seedings were whack.
Yeah, and look, I know that I guess the ratings were like, what, 3 million less than last year or whatever, but I mean, look at all the other games that they made ratings and TV ratings off of and money off of. I don't think they're really caring about the 3 million missing from the Natty game.
Hang on. Gators up by 1. Gators
Oshi.
won.
Oh,
Fucking suck it. Let's go. Let's go, Will. Let's go. Let's go.
did they
Who's your
really win?
daddy? Who's your daddy? Come on, Todd. Come
70
on.
to 69. 70 to 69.
Suck it. Where's
Shelton
Keith? Sorry.
Shelton is excited.
What a game.
Here,
What
go
what
ahead.
if you
Go
just saw
ahead.
bro, if you just saw this, they were down 68 to 60 or 65, 68, tie it up, get a foul, 1-on-1 on free throw South Carolina. Will Richard just goes down and says, "Hold these nuts." I mean, look like Jordan flying in the air. Sorry to interrupt this. I mean, this has been a
No,
great
no, no,
show,
no, no.
but oh
No,
my goodness.
you look like that one time you really had to take a duty and you left, and I had to control the show for like 3 or 4 minutes. So, I mean, I saw you over there squirming like a little fish. I
Oh,
knew that was
dude.
gonna happen.
Shambles.
I wasn't even keeping up with the time. But from what I was saying, before we won the game and we put our nuts on South Carolina's face one more time, it's talking about the playoff. Like, there's 3 million less in the national championship, but when you look at it from an overall spectrum, you got a whole bunch of other games that they made all this money and all these ratings off of. So I don't really think they care if they're missing 3 million not watching the national championship. But it does suck because it's weird because you had this whole thing to eliminate, a bad national championship, just a big blowout national championship. And before the game, a lot of people, Ohio State's going to win. They were for a while. They were up 31-7. And you were just like, yeah, this is exactly what we thought. Notre Dame actually made a push. They started to come back, and it made it a little bit more interesting there towards the end. They just ran
Sure.
out of time. So I don't know if that's going to be the structure. It looks like it's not because they love to change stuff. So I'm pretty sure they're going to go to like 14 and lay out the seating like you said. But um, it's college football has just been evolving for the longest, and they seem to not be able to stick with anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if they change something here down the road.
With as many useless bowl games as there were, like I wouldn't mind if you added two more teams into it. I think it would have really, I mean, especially this year. I mean, you're adding two more teams. I think Ole Miss and Bama would have made it, and it adds a whole new factor to this, which would have been fun to watch. So, I don't hate it. I also was thinking about this today when I was putting together the thumbnail. A fun little like side argument. I like the old trophy better. I like with
I do too.
us, right? I feel like we made change because that was the BCS and this is out of the college football playoff. I know we didn't change the playoffs, but we went from 4 to 12. You could argue you could get a new. I mean, this isn't a bad trophy. I think it's weird, and it's weird that we continuously change it, right? I mean, I think about all the sports we have, like the trophy doesn't change except for college football. Yeah, we're just gonna keep flipping it around. But the old trophy was sick.
It needs to be a flying pig. And
Yeah,
we're done.
we could sponsor the next championship if we need to be.